Senator Lieberman.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, General and Ambassador. It strikes me as I've watched your testimony over the last 2 days that you left the real war in Iraq and came over onto the battlefield of the political war here in Washington about Iraq. And I would say on this battlefield you have gained considerable ground over the last 2 days. And I say so because too often on this battleground the forces are divided according to partisan loyalties, and there's a lot of hype and spin. You have given testimony that is thoroughly nonpartisan, non-political, and realistic. It's quite obvious that just today, this afternoon, that all the answers you have given have not been answers that the administration would have wanted you to give. But you're straight shooters. You're both professionals, a soldier and a statesman who have served your country and are serving it most admirably today. And I thank you very, very much for that. I also thank you for the encouraging report that you have given, and I hope that it affects opinions here on Capitol Hill. I'm confident it will affect the opinions of a lot of people across America because of the credibility that you've gained in giving it. I mean, you've said to us the military objectives of the surge are in large measure being met, and as a result, the forces can be reduced by 7,500 troops by the end of this year and 30,000 by about less than a year, and by next summer, without jeopardizing, I'm quoting you, General, the security gains that we've fought so hard to achieve. I suppose one of the things that has most surprised me over the last 2 days is that every member of Congress, regardless of our opinion about the way forward in Iraq, hasn't cheered when you said that, thanked you for it, because I can tell you that the 30,000 troops and their families are thrilled to hear that announcement, and I appreciate it very much. In the best of all worlds, I'd like to think that people around here would take yes for an answer, and we'd go on and look forward to your next report in the spring. That's probably not going to happen. So I want to ask you a few questions, General, about some of the amendments and proposals that we're likely to have put before us on the floor of the Senate. First, some may attempt to take your 7,500 by the end of the year, 30,000 by next summer, and mandate it without regard to conditions on the ground. What would you say to that?
Well, I would be uncomfortable with that. Again, I think that we have to have our eyes wide open as we go forward with this. We are making projections about what we believe will be the case. They're not hopes, but they are where we think we will be, and that is the basis for our decisions. In fact, if it can go the other way, we could even, if you can make it sooner. But what we should do, again, is be objective about our assessments as we move along and ensure that we do not surrender a gain for which we've fought very, very hard by being locked into a timetable like that.
I take it that your answer would be the same to a proposal that would accelerate the troop withdrawal, mandate a larger troop withdrawal sooner, perhaps switching over to a different kind of mission early next year that would be counterterrorism, training the Iraqi troops and protecting our troops there?
Well, first of all, to do counterterrorism, as I mentioned very briefly in the statement, requires conventional as well as all types of special operations forces and intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance assets. And we've found, in fact, this very fact. We have been banging away in Ramadi with our very high-end special operations forces for years. And we did disrupt the enemy in there. We did take them down various times, a few pegs. But it was not until courageous Marines and soldiers truly cleared Ramadi in mid-March, now augmented by these Iraqi security forces, former tribal members who joined in the fight against al-Qaeda in the Euphrates River Valley, that we were truly able to take that sanctuary away from al-Qaeda Iraq. The same has been true in other areas. You do have to clear the area, and that is something that is not done just by counter-terrorist forces per se, those that we normally associate with the counter-terrorist mission, but by conventional forces as well. In fact, one of the things we've worked very hard to do is to fuse the intelligence that supports all these different operations, and also to coordinate and to try to achieve a synergy between the effects of these different types of assets.
Thank you for that answer, which I take to be a negative to an earlier accelerated reduction of troops to switch the mission earlier. I want to go to Iran. Both of you have focused on the very destructive role that Iran is playing through its Quds force in Iraq, by most counts responsible for the murder of hundreds of American soldiers and thousands of Iraqi civilians and soldiers. Ambassador Crocker, I know you've met twice with the Iranian ambassador to Baghdad. I know that some of my colleagues and others have called for a diplomatic surge with Iran to engage in negotiations with them. In your view, based on those two meetings, are the Iranians responding to that diplomatic initiative that you commenced with them?
Sir, we have seen nothing on the ground that would suggest that the Iranians are altering what they're doing in support of extremist elements that are going after our forces as well as the Iraqis.
General, do you feel that you have all the authorities you need from a military point of view to deter, disrupt, and respond to the Iranian attacks on our troops and Iran's efforts to destabilize Iraq?
I do, Senator, again, keeping in mind that my area of responsibility is limited to Iraq, so it does not include going into Iran.
Let me ask you about that, because I know your military spokespeople in Baghdad have made very clear that we have evidence that Iran is taking Iraqi extremists to 3 training camps outside of Tehran, training them in the use of explosive, sophisticated weapons, sending them back into Iraq, where they are responsible for the murder of American soldiers. Is it time to give you authority in pursuit of your mission in Iraq to pursue those Iranian Quds Force operations in Iranian territory in order to protect America's troops in Iraq?
Sir, I think that that really the multinational force Iraq should just focus on Iraq, and that any kinds of operations outside the borders of Iraq would rightly be overseen by the Central Command, the Regional Combatant Command.
I want to just, my time's up. I thank you both. God bless you in your extraordinary service, and we all wish you well and success. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.